And in this next news story, a kingpin who lived a life of luxury funded by his crimes must pay back almost £3.5 million of his ill-gotten gains. Aram Sheibani could face an extra 10 years in jail if he fails to pay back that sum. So Sheibani, who's 43, is currently serving a 37-year jail sentence after his international crime empire came crashing down. An investigation by the police revealed that he had amassed a property portfolio worth around £5 million. He used to stay in luxury accommodation, travel around the world, and he drove top-of-the-range cars. Police also found that he had £1 million in cash and around £1.5 million worth of crypto. Sheibani had also paid for cosmetic surgery, including veneers, hair transplants, and had a nose job. Sheibani claimed that his wealth came from legitimate sources, but a jury disagreed, and the judge said he was satisfied that he was at the very head of a large-scale international drugs conspiracy and that Sheibani was close to the very source of production in Colombia. He had made trips to the country which police claimed were for research purposes. Sheibani was found to have bought items connected with the production of cocaine, including 2 30-ton industrial presses, plastic vacuum packing bags, and acetone, while a video of a similar industrial press being used in a cocaine production lab was discovered on his phone. Sheibani was also convicted of mortgage fraud by lying about his income and job to gain mortgages, as well as using forged documents. In June 2021, Sheibani was found guilty of 5 counts of obtaining a money transfer by deception, 3 offences of possession of criminal property, 2 offences of failing to comply with a notice, 2 offences of converting criminal property, 2 offences of fraud, forgery, using false instruments, conspiracy to supply controlled drugs, possession of a controlled drug, Class A, and perverting the course of justice. At the time, the judge Anthony Cross said to him, "You know no boundaries. Your greed knows no boundaries." As I said, the judge sentenced him to 37 years, and just the other day there was a proceeds of crime hearing held at Manchester Crown Court, and the judge ordered him to pay back more than £3.4 million, and if he fails to pay the sum within 3 months, then he's going to have an extra 10 years added to his sentence. After the hearing, Detective Superintendent Andy Buckthorpe from the Greater Manchester Police's Economic Crime Unit said, "The criminal investigation to Sheibani's illicit activity was incredibly complex, and inquiries led us overseas into the digital world of cryptocurrency. The financial investigation which followed has been equally intricate, and I would like to thank each and every detective, financial investigator, volunteer and staff member who has worked closely with the CPS to secure this result today." He said Sheibani was fueled by greed and dishonesty, making vast profits from Class A drugs and illicit means, ignorant to the damage and destruction this trade has on communities. If he does not pay back £3,408,369.67 in the next 3 months, an additional 10 years will be added to his already lengthy jail sentence. I hope this acts as a stark warning to those involved in criminality. Our investigations don't end once you're behind bars. Our financial investigators will come and squeeze you for every penny you have gained at the expense of innocent people. And guys, in this next news story, a man has been jailed for killing a woman in Birmingham. Shannon Stanley was found with severe injuries in the early hours of the 10th of May 2022 after she was repeatedly stabbed by Pablo Hold. Hold and his girlfriend had spent the evening with Shannon and her friend when an argument broke out between Shannon and Hold. Witnesses during the trial described Hold dragging Shannon into the kitchen, where he slammed her against the worktop, stabbed her repeatedly in the head and neck before fleeing the house. Friends called for an ambulance and provided emergency aid to Shannon, but she sadly died at the scene. I just want to say rest in peace, Shannon. My condolences go out to your family. Hold fled the scene and returned to his home and called police, confessing to stabbing Shannon, telling the call handler, "I'm the perpetrator, not the victim. I went too far." The 28-year-old was arrested from his home. Hold was found guilty of manslaughter and he was sentenced to 21 years in prison. Shannon's family described her as a daughter, sister, niece, and much loved by us all and her friends. Shannon was living in Birmingham and enjoying her life, and her life has now ended in the most violent way. She was at home with her friends when she should have been safe, but the actions of Pablo Hold that night took her life and her future away. He has taken our beloved Shannon away when he could have just walked away instead of doing what he did. We'd like to thank the police who have worked hard to bring us to this point, and grateful for the people who tried to help Shannon. Our lives will never be the same without her. Detective Inspector Jim Marn said Hold lost control and repeatedly stabbed Shannon, and although he claims he never meant it to get out of hand, he never sought any help for her. Instead, he ran home, leaving Shannon fatally injured. Shannon had many people who loved and cared for her, and hoped that they can feel some sense of justice following the result at court. A man has been jailed after murdering his father-in-law by driving a car at him in Wolverhampton last year. William Connors is 28, has been sentenced to life imprisonment with a minimum term of 20 years for the murder of Thomas Connors last year. On the 11th of September, Connors drove to Thomas's address in his white Mercedes, and when he arrived, Thomas, who was also known as Tommy, walked down his driveway with an axe. CCTV footage showed Connors, instead of driving away knowing he was not welcome at the address, deliberately drove at his father-in-law. Tragically, Thomas Connors died the following day from his injuries in hospital. Connors didn't stop at the scene. He drove away and dumped his car and made his way to Coventry. On the 12th of September, he handed himself in at a Coventry police station and claimed he did not realise that he'd killed his father-in-law. Connors told officers he panicked as he thought Thomas Connors was going to kill him as he was chasing his car. However, CCTV footage showed that Thomas was not chasing the Mercedes. In fact, he was walking on the pavement and the driver steered directly at him. In a tribute to Thomas, his family said, Tommy, devoted husband, father and grandfather, has been taken away from us. Tommy's family, nuclear and extended, are so hurt and devastated by the atrocious, cruel and heinous death of him. He was highly respected in his community and was well liked and full of character, and his death has affected everyone. There are no words to describe the pain we are all feeling. Tommy is and always will be deeply missed. He didn't die from sickness. He didn't die from old age. He died because his life was taken away from him. He was murdered. Detective Chief Inspector Laura Harrison from the Forces Homicide Unit said William Connors used his vehicle as a weapon to kill his father-in-law. He was angry and lost his temper, and instead of driving away to calm down, he deliberately drove at Mr. Connors without thinking of the consequences. My thoughts are with the family after this appalling incident, and I hope that they can feel some sense of justice following the sentence. And guys, in this next news story, a man has been convicted of stabbing 3 of his family members before going on the run. In December 2023, Israel Kruder broke into a residential home and attacked the occupants with a knife. They both suffered slash wounds to their arms and hands. The next day, in the early hours of the morning, the 27-year-old was spotted by another family member on West Bromwich High Street. A fight broke out between the men before Kruder stabbed the man 3 times. He then fled the scene, leaving his relation alone in the street with serious injuries. Kruder went on the run for almost a year before being detained in Blackburn in September 2023. He pleaded guilty at Birmingham Crown Court, where he was sentenced to 8 years and 3 months in prison. Detective Constable Gareth Glass from the Forces Public Protection Unit said Kruder went on a violent rampage against his own family, causing them to suffer serious injuries. He then went on the run in an attempt to evade police so he didn't have to face up to what he had done to his own family. We never gave up, and Kruder was eventually arrested in Blackburn. We do not tolerate violence of any kind, particularly when this involves knives, and we will do everything in our power to support victims and bring the perpetrators to justice. And I hope this sentence brings the victims of Kruder's violence some peace, knowing he's going to be behind bars for a very, very long time. So guys, there's a number of stories coming out the streets of the UK. It's your boy GC. Keep it locked, keep it real.